So we have a separate clip here. If you feel like you can, we have about 10 minutes. We might go over a little bit, but just to hear your feedback on what was your experience of the empathy circle itself, like doing mutual empathic listening. What are the maybe the positive aspects that you got out of that? And we can do another quick round if Bill, if you're up for calling on people again.
Okay, sure.
And if you need to drop out, understand, the time constraint, but would love to hear any sort of feedback. Yeah.
Sure. I'll start with looking at my screen. Katie?
Yes. I think for me, it's what I find most interesting is the transition between listening and then talking. And it makes me very aware of how different those two things are. And that listening is a real skill that I'm learning by doing this, by being in this process. I'm becoming better at it. Therefore, I'm becoming a better communicator.
Great. Thank you, Katie. Alex?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with a lot of the sentiments that have been said. I think this is a really valuable practice as far as slowing down just the pace of our cognition. And I think that plays well into the current state of affairs. So I really like that idea also of having, like, demanding that we do this process with people in charge, and just like saying, like, well, yo, like, no, this is how we, like, I'm for it. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Alex. Marta?
Yeah, it's good. It feels, it's nice meeting new people and having topics that people feel strongly about and have a lot to say, and yeah, picking something up and looking at it from various angles. And for me, as a facilitator, it always feels like a privilege to help make that happen, really.
Okay. Thank you, Marta. MJ?
Yeah, this is my first empathy circle, so I appreciate the system and everyone involved. I think empathy is very integral in all of this, in what we face, so it's a very important practice to continue, a skill that is to be trained upon. So thank you all.
Thank you. Katja?
I agree with most of the sentiments that people are saying. I believe this is a very valuable practice. I value the connections that I'm able to make with others. In my opinion, empathy is the most important quality that we can possess as human beings, and it is the most important quality that we can share with others. So we really need to do more in the way of empathy circles and Extinction Rebellion, and it is something we can take out to the wider community, especially now in our time of crisis. People need empathy circles. People need to talk.
Thank you, Katja. Marguerite?
Yes, I think what Katie said I really liked, that you do get a bit more experience the more you do it. And usually when you talk to people, you're always waiting to put in your bit. So, the opportunity just to listen and reflect back, it's we're not experienced at it. We don't do enough of it. So I think the more we can do it and take it out to the community, the more I think it's a fantastic opportunity. So.
Thank you, Marguerite. Lynn?
Yes, I entirely agree with Katie there. It's so often I'm speaking and trying to get my point across to people and being a bit dogmatic, whereas Katie there is saying about listening, and for the first time I think in a long time, I've kept my mouth shut and listened to people. And the other thing I'd like to say is, isn't it marvellous that a disparate group of people from different parts of the country, different parts of the world, are getting together? And isn't that a good, damn good thing in the first place? You know, that's one thing. And then, you know, to listen to other people's viewpoints and that, it's been, I've done other ones as well, but this has been a good experience. I've learned to keep my mouth shut.
Thanks, Len. Ben.
Yeah, it's this is only my second time doing empathy, this type of empathy. I've done lots of active listening practices of various sorts, but this seems like a really useful tool. So it's like it feels like I get to expand my toolbox a little bit and put this one in. And the practice was very useful for me because I really felt that I could say things that I thought people might not like, and yet it felt safe enough to do that. And then it was a kind of, for me, quite astonishing how the connection deepened because of that.
Great.
And to say that probably like I have this kind of strong feeling that if we don't do this practice, we probably will fail with all the other stuff that we do.
Thank you, Ben. Anne?
Yeah, again, reminded how valuable and important this work is. It feels like it's core to everything we do. And also being reminded the sort of additional value of having like passive listeners as well as the active listener, and how that can increase the safety and the diversity of the dialogue. So thank you.
Thank you, Anne. James Moore.
Yeah, I just agree with Anne's last point now. It is lovely having the passive listener as well as the active listener, and that definitely does give a sense of safety. I'm really familiar with co-listening circles where there is less feedback, and as a model, I much prefer this one. It's nice to get fed back and to have that opportunity to notice whether what you've been saying has been heard or not by the active listener. So I firmly applaud that. And yeah, for me, a hugely positive experience. And yeah, I can't thank the people that were in my little group enough. And great to see how we built on a common theme, although there were lots of there were some subtle differences, and that's great too. It's important that there are differences. That's me. I'm not going to talk for more than 1 minute.
That's all right. That's okay. You're fine. Thank you. Appreciate that, James. Thank you. Carolina.
I don't feel like I have much to add to all I heard today. Those comments today are very reaching, and I don't see if I could say anything good enough to add. So thank you very much. Maybe I would like to say one thing. I appreciate and see the difference when there is a circle of good listeners. It works differently if we have a huge ability to listen and to reflect. The whole circle goes kind of smoothly, and I didn't have to facilitate much. That was great. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Carolina. I think that's it. Katja, Danielle, I think you've reflected. Please correct me. Okay. And Danielle, I don't see you. And
I don't think, did Danielle go?
I didn't go. So. Okay. Danielle? Oh, there you go.
Hey there. Yeah, I had a good reflection, which is because of the back and forth fine tuning, I got to experience whether what I was, sort out what I actually was feeling, you know, because I wasn't necessarily clear. So that exercise was really helpful. And then interestingly enough, afterwards, I felt angry, not at the experience, but I realized that maybe what I had shared wasn't what was really going on for me, or maybe some of the discussion was triggering. I wasn't aware of it until after it was over. And so it did make me kind of, that reflection and opportunity to share did make me reflect a little bit on, you know, what's authentic for me to say. Am I saying what other people want to hear? Am I saying, you know, things to be part of the group? Or, so it just kind of, that's what came up for me after our circle closed. Yeah, and that was really valuable. So thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. As always, I agree with the sentiment where we're talking about there are people, you know, all over the world who share our values and who want to listen to each other. And I think that's great. I think that's the basis of what we need to do to be successful in any kind of way. And we talked about, you know, and I really appreciated that we, you know, we explored things. We didn't always agree, but we kind of explored different strategies. And I really was appreciative of that. Thank you. Edwin?
Okay, thanks, Bill. So this practice, you know, to begin with, it takes an hour or two to just to get sort of familiar with it. So in future empathy cafes, it'll be easier for you. You won't have that sort of that learning curve. And it does take practice, 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 just like anything else, that the more you practice, the better you get at it, at the listening as well as, you know, concise perhaps and speaking. So I put the link in there to our Google Doc if you're wanting to add your contact info. You know, there's an email. You can add your email, or, you know, just write any sort of notes that you might have. And it's also a way to connect with others who were in this call, so you can connect afterwards if you're wanting to. And with this, what you have now, with that, there's resources there on the Facebook event page for the videos of how to do empathy circles, and there's a one-page instructions. So you're ready now to go facilitate one yourself, you know, get some family, friends, just get 2 or 3 others, sit down and say, hey, I'd like to try this empathy circle with you so you can get some practice. Mm-hmm. And so with that, we'll see you next week. We have principle number 3 that we're doing next week, and looking forward to seeing you. And, you know, bring some friends, invite them to the event, and look forward to, you know, continuing the empathic dialogue with you.
Thank you.